Okay friends, welcome back. In part 2 of our video presentation on chapter 9, we'll talk about some additional details of system development lifecycle methodology or framework. Now in the first part we said that typically system development lifecycle methodology is conceptualized or viewed as a methodology consisting of the following three broad steps or phases: definition, construction, and implementation. Now, there are a lot of versions of the specific implementation of SDLC methodology. So this is just one of them. I mean, you can probably see, like in the literature or in practice, a lot of variations. One thing that is that is common to all those variations of SDLC implementation is that there are definition, construction, and implementation phases. So in our case, chapter 9 contains the following 8 steps that are part of those broader 3 steps or phases. So for the definition phase, we have feasibility analysis and requirements definition. And I would add, I mean, to be honest, I don't like how this definition stage is laid out. I would add one more step that comes first, which is business problem definition. Because before you do any kind of feasibility analysis, you need to know exactly what kind of problem or opportunity you're addressing with the help of information system. Then you have the construction phase, where you have system design, system building, and system testing. And then you have implementation phase, where the system is actually installed, it's operated, and maintained on a regular basis. So we'll talk about each of those phases and steps within those phases in a bit more detail. Now, here you have like a hypothetical or recommended cost breakdown for a $1 million software project under SDLC framework. So here we have cost attached to each of the phases and steps within those phases. So as you can see, most of the money, more specifically 25% of this amount, or $1 million, is spent during the requirements definition step. Now this is something that is essential to the kind of worldview or philosophy that SDLC is based on. So once again, remember, like we said in the previous part, that SDLC is a highly structured, approach to information system development. So that's why you spend a lot of time and money for the requirements definition phase. So there is that belief, that is probably related to this proverb that goes something like this: measure 3 times, cut once, or something like that, or measure 7 times, cut once, right? So the idea here is that you need to spend a lot of time defining what users want from an information system, because this is something that is essential and something that drives efficiency and effectiveness of the entire project down the road. Because if you fail to capture correct requirements from users, then all subsequent steps, in a way, they become a waste. So the idea here is that you need to spend a lot of time defining user requirements towards an information system solution. So that's one of the key assumptions of the SDLC worldview. And this is exactly where those new age agile or prototyping methodology challenge SDLC. Now what they're saying that SDLC is fundamentally wrong in its assumptions, meaning specifically in this particular assumption. What proponents of agile development methodologies are saying, they're saying, look, it's simply impossible to do a good job defining user requirements at that early stage, for a variety of reasons. Sometimes, well, first of all, users themselves, they may not know what exactly they want until they see some kind of prototype, and until they see, test the system, test some kind of prototype until this stage. So they may not even know what they need, right? And number 2, which is the essence of agile approach, seems the number 2 criticism is that things change. I mean, you cannot just spend 1 year defining requirements, because by the time you are done defining requirements, things change, meaning the environment within which an organization operates change. The company itself may change. So the counter philosophy, the one that is represented by agile system development method, is that you simply cannot spend that much time in the requirements definition phase. It doesn't make sense to them. Okay. But nevertheless, this is the fundamental assumption of SDLC, that you need to spend a lot of time during defining user requirements towards an information system. So that concludes part 2 of our video presentation. In the next part, we'll talk about the definition phase. Thank you for listening.